Hello, what is up, guys? It is Keegan here, and today I'm bringing you guys the quarterfinals of the NCP. We're playing against T. Rowe Price, and the first time we played, I think it was like week 4, 3, question mark? I don't know. Sometime around then, we played, and unfortunately, we took a loss in what I think was a pretty tough, and I think is a pretty tough matchup. Wasn't able to really accomplish much of anything with my team, unfortunately. Now we're coming here against Hero Price again, and neither of us have made transactions since that time, so it's going to be the same matchup. And the way I approach these rematches, usually, is just to ignore the first game, basically. I think, you never want to bring the same team again, but I think if you build with the first game in mind, I think you start getting into some weird scenarios where you make unoptimal selections with your team building process, and that doesn't help anybody. So we're going with the same 6, but we're going with some different sets this time. So let's take a look at the team that we're bringing in, and this game we're playing back on Wi-Fi, which is nice. So Torn T, the big change here this time is I have Grass Knot for the Swampert. Swampert, is a threat that is important to take care of for this team, but it's still the same idea where it is there designed to check the Urshifu. You can take one Stone Edge from any set that's faster than the Torn, which is important. But otherwise, very, very standard, and the coverage moves are there designed to pressure common switch-ins and pressure the majority of his team. So Grasslot was a big change. I think we had knockoff last time, and I think I wanted a slot to additionally pressure that Swampert. We're going with the exact same Rocky Helmet set. I probably should have brought Whirlwind on this. Looking back, you guys will see why in the battle, but I had Toxic. I just wanted to use Toxic as a way to pressure Swampert, pressure Tangrowth in this matchup, and then obviously Stealth Rock, Slack Off, Earthquake are very, very standard on-hit pad-on sets as well. The Stand Up User is the exact same set as the last time, basically. I don't think there's any changes here. The Dracozolt, Draco Meteor, Flamethrower, Bolt Beak, Stone Edge. This basically covers the entire matchup and allows me to spam Bolt Beak, as well as being able to fire off special moves against Pokemon like Tangrowth that might want to come in and take advantage of the fact that I could be a special set. So that is another Pokemon that is going to do a lot of damage if we can get it in on sand regularly. Encore, Toxic, Moonblast, Diamond Storm, Diancie. So this is another, not really a big change, but we ran a weakness policy setup set last time, which we played around very well. So I'm just going to take this opportunity now to run, a mainly defensive set, Encore and Toxic. Toxic, once again, I want to pressure that Swampert and Tangrowth particularly, because they once they're down, they simplify the game state for the rest of my team in terms of what moves I click in certain positions, and I think that's going to be really important to take advantage of in this game. So that's kind of why I'm going here. Encore prevents random setup sweepers from being a problem. So we run that, and then we have Cinderace here. We have Core Change on this time. We haven't run a lot of hazard removal this season, and I think that's one thing in terms of not becoming predictable in your builds. This is one of the ones that I've needed to account for the fact that I've not run a lot of hazard removal. I think that's been a trend with my gameplay. So we're bringing Core Change. Super Fang still puts pressure on all those walls that we were talking about, and then Powerball obviously still does a lot of damage, and then the same choice Scarf, Kartana. So nothing special here, and I mean there's not much to talk about in the team builder. Basically, if you want to hear my perspective on the matchup, just watch the previous video. Not much has changed at all. I don't really want to rehash a lot of the same points, especially where this team is basically the same team as last time with a few minor changes. So if you want to watch, that video to get a better sense of my opinion on the matchup, then watch that. But let's not waste any more time and let's get right into the battle. And Swampert. So I think he brought the exact same team again this time. We both brought the exact same team. Let me actually add the... Alright, so how do I want to lead this? So, the common lead here to expect is Urshifu, Rotom Heat's another very common lead in this spot. The only lead that can happen that I don't really care. I'm gonna lead Diancie, I think, here, because the only lead that is necessarily punished by that is the Swampert lead, and I don't think Swampert wants to lead against a potential Tornadus lead here. If it's something like Urshifu, then I could go right into the... Oh shit, I gotta move my webcam here. Hold, the webcam's moving. Sorry, let it happen. Alright. I've just Windows updated before that, so I'm a little, I wouldn't say not prepared, but alright, Rotom Heat, that was perfect. That was kind of the lead that I expected to see here. Question is do we want to do anything besides set up Stealth Rocks? I don't think there's a really... Oh, we don't have Stealth Rocks on this. I completely forgot. Yeah, so... realistically, there's no reason not to just hit Toxic here. I don't expect him to do anything too relevant here. He's just going to click Volt Switch, yeah. And we take, like, literally 0 damage from the Volt Switch here. So we know that this is now Volt Switch. And in comes Swampert. So if we hit Toxic on this, that's huge. Jesus fucking Christ, man. I swear to God, there's never a time in my life I'm not going to miss one of the more important moves that I have to hit in the game. Like, it's just never not going to happen. Like, that could put me in a bad spot here. I'm just going to go Torrent T as a result of this. Torrent T now, I'm going to move my mic closer. Torrent T does have Grass Knot this time, so I am able to put pressure on it that way. I think he's going to want to probably scout for that, realistically here. And if he wants to scout that, problem is this is his generic answer to this. He could go into Rotom Heat as well. I think I'm just going to U-turn off of this. I think it's in his best interest, or he's going to want to scout, yeah. So the switch out comes here. He goes right back into the Rotom Heat. So we're kind of back in the cycle again. Feels like every battle I play, we end up cycling around a few turns like this. Just trying to get that positioning in the early game. So we'll go back into the INC. And I guess we'll fucking try to go for Toxic again. Question is, does he want to play it differently now that I clicked that move the first time? Realistically, probably not. Like, I don't think going into Gengar gives him anything. I don't think else really wants to take a Toxic. I mean, sure, he can stay in. That might be whatever. But realistically, you know, Volt Switch into Swampert is going to be his default play every time. Now, Urshifu could come in here, actually. That's like a possibility. Maybe trying to over-predict. But yeah, he's just going to go into Swampert. And if I miss this one, I might just forfeit here. Like, I can't be fucked. Okay, thank God. Jesus Christ, I hate this game. Alright, so that hits now. The question is here, now do we make a different play? Now that he knows, so this is Rocks. And that he knows my default play is Torn. Is there a different play that we want to make as a result of this? I don't think so. We do have some bulk, and at this point I don't see a reason not to, especially with the fact that this is now Toxic. It's gonna, you know, have a little bit of a smaller shelf life. You know, if it's Rest, then it's gonna have to forego some coverage move. He elects to flip turn here though, on this. That did a decent amount. So the fact that it's flip turn as well, now that's another move it has to forego on its moveset coverage wise, which is pretty good. In all honesty. So this comes out. So we know this thing is probably heavy duty boots. Realistically, that kind of is, I wouldn't say the only thing it could be, but realistically, what else is entirely possible? Now the question is, with the U-turn here, do we just go into Tip Howdon, predicting the Volt Switch, and then go into Diancie? And I kind of like that play here. Set some sand pressure up early, give him a different look in this matchup, and prevent, you know, being, you know, basically fucked over by momentum. Realistically, he could go for a nasty plot. He goes for the Will-O-Wisp here. That's actually okay. That doesn't actually accomplish much in this spot. I mean, sure, it's unfortunate that I'm going to, you know, be burned the rest of this game, but Alas, I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. Now, no, at this point I can set up Stealth Rocks. I'm expecting... So I can go for Toxic or set up Stealth Rocks. I'm just going to go into Diancie. I think the status quo here is fine over the next couple of turns. This thing is starting to get weakened. He's going to elect to switch here and goes into the Tangrowth. That's fine. I could have Toxic. I don't know. I was thinking about it. I could have taken an Overheat and done something there, but I mean, this thing comes in, and that's kind of whatever. So we'll see what type of set this is pretty quickly here. Question is, I kind of expect Knockoff here. Knockoff is kind of the obvious play in this spot, and while this is useful, a Toxic on this is going to be pretty crucial to the late game. A Knockoff, so I can go... I kind of do expect that Knockoff. I kind of want to get this thing Toxic. But that doesn't really matter too much. It only matters for the Kartana in the mid-game. I'm just going to knock off here. If he elects to click Grass Move, that's fine. He elects to switch here. And he just goes straight back into Swampert, which is kind of fine. I don't know why that this was necessarily the play here. This doesn't make a lot of sense. This is leftovers, okay? That makes me believe that it's probably not like a rest set. That does give us a little bit extra HP. So now Flip Turn is likely the play. There's not really much I can do with Flip Turn. I just kind of go into Torn T here and allow that to happen. My guess here at this point, if I'm thinking about this, is that he doesn't have a move to hit Torn, realistically, and he doesn't need one. The Rotom Heat just kind of does that job pretty effectively. Toxic happens. Toxic is actually pretty fun here. I'm not really concerned about that. Now the question here is, do I want to now hit Grass Knot? I haven't... Is it time to deviate from the plan here? Like, does he have an interest in Flip Turning? And I've U-turned on this a few times. And I think he might take that as an opportunity to Flip Turn and put pressure on. I think this is... If I was him, this is the time I would switch up my play to make that. So I'm going to elect to just Grass Knot here. Now that we know that it's not... Okay, so he does elect to switch into this. This is also still fine. But none of the damage that we took, we can't just regenerate her off. I mean, that did literally 3 damage, but alas, I don't think it matters too much. As you can see here, the sand goes down. So once again, not really concerned, as once again, we just get to free U-turn off of this. Unless this thing happens to be Choice Scarf, but I don't think that's the case. Because it did reveal Will-O-Wisp. Now, I think I'm just going to go and tap out on here to set up the sand. It's already burned. So I kind of just want to keep the sand up and force HP damage on this Rotom Heat. Yeah, the Volt Switch comes out. That's kind of perfect here. And this thing is getting pretty weakened now. So the last time... our hero here hard switched into Tangrowth, so I'm just going to Toxic. Actually, no, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I could go hard into the Torn here. I'm just going to play safe, I think. I haven't really run into a situation. I mean, he's really playing safe. I'm going to have to punish him one of these turns here. Not that, like, the onus is on me to get a punish correct here. But it's going to be crucial at some point to get one. If I ran the calc correctly, this did not regenerate her. Is this a fucking mistake or something? Hold the fucking phone. What? Am I being fucking baited or something here? Is this some fucking chlorophyll set? It could be. I'm pretty sure I'm not like self-baiting for no reason. Alright, he's gonna elect to switch out. And okay, into this. We're getting into the situation now where we're both now making like these really like awkward plays to like play around, and we're both like trying to outpredict each other. So at this point, the way I look at it here, okay, in this specific spot, I actually have no reason to never grass knot in this spot. This one I think is, I'm willing to, try to bait an over prediction, because since I'm always faster, I always get the U-turn off. I always get to get all my health back in each one of these spots. So this I'm definitely, okay with this sequence. This has to be heavy duty boots. There's no way that this is not heavy duty boots. Kind of would make no sense otherwise. And yeah, all of this health is going to, be brought back. So we're just going to quickly U-turn. We're going to go back and hep out on, I think, still. We're also 50 seconds behind on timer, so should be mindful of that. I think the Volt Switch is likely going to happen. I can also Sludge Wave at some point on this Pokemon. Do I go here? I kind of like just going in here. If he overheats, then I should be able to just slack off in response afterwards, but I'm expecting a Volt Switch here. Just for the pain split. I am kind of low, but that is going to give him a lot of health back. The Sandstorm does go down, which is a little unfortunate. Question here is now, do I predict and go for Toxic and put pressure on that, and put pressure on the other thing. This could be overheat, but I'm willing to take that risk here. So we know that's just basic defense. Okay, this is some chlorophyll bullshit. So this is not I don't know what's going on here. Either this is a misgen, or this is chlorophyll, which is kind of troll. Either way, it's kind of an issue. We're just gonna go straight into Torn. The knockoff comes off. This knockoff is actually kind of a problem now. So now I actually have to get a core change off here to prevent the damage for being an issue here. So the U-turn. So now looking at this Rotom Heat set, I can U-turn. If I U-turn and he goes into the Rotom Heat, I can go into my Cinderace here and actually core change. Yeah, this is kind of perfect here. And that's going to get hazards up. And then I can U-turn off of that to prevent Swampert from coming in. Now he might just elect to go straight into Swampert from here. But, getting the rocks on my opponent's side of the field is going to make this game pretty, I wouldn't say easy, but it's going to give me a little bit more agency throughout the rest of the game. Especially with that Tangrowth not being Regenerator. With that not being a Regenerator Pokemon, then the Stealth Rocks is going to be important. Unless it's heavy duty boots for whatever reason, but I don't have spike stacks on my team, so that also kind of does not make sense to have on this team. The one thing that's kind of annoying about the situation, okay, perfect, the core change goes off. So he can Volt Switch here, and that's fine. This is one of the Pokemon that I think I care the least about having damage on. We get to take that, and we can actually take a few of those. So let's see what my opponent elects to go into here. I would guess Swampert. Swampert makes the most sense, yeah. So that's going to take Stealth Rocks, and it's also going to take poison damage on top of gaining some health back with the leftovers. So that's really, really good here. Now we just get to start U-turning off of this thing. It's going to take a lot of damage there. That is good to see. Now, one thing I can do to get aggressive here is to go into the Diancie, but I don't think that's worth it yet. My opponent's likely going to just set up Stealth Rocks of their own here. Yep, so Stealth Rocks are back up. And now we both have Stealth Rocks, which is, frustrating, but, something that I think is... The fact that the Stealth Rocks are now on both sides of the field, there's something... is now... I think that puts the advantage into my court here a little bit. Now, I can't check Scarf Urshifu now with the Torn as a result of that, though. That's the only thing that I lose out on that I think is relatively important. But otherwise, I think we're okay with how this is going. I'm going to U-turn here. Yeah, he's just gonna just switch out. That's fine. And now this comes in. And yeah, and it reveals heavy duty boots. As expected, there was kind of no other option for this Pokemon here. We're gonna go into Diancie here. The reason we're gonna go into Diancie is we can bait. This thing has to switch out now, and we can bait Moonblast onto the Swampert, and we can bait out its recovery move. I think here. There's no way, like realistically, that this stays in. It's also gonna be probably faster, so we can just elect a Moonblast, hit that Swampert incoming. It's gonna take Stealth Rocks and Toxic. Yep, as expected. He could go into Tangrowth here. That's also like a reasonable play, but Swampert's been the default the entire time, so I don't think there's any reason to predict otherwise. And a special attack drop, that's actually pretty huge here. So that prevents something like Ice Beam being, you know, particularly problematic. If, you know, he wants to click that against my income, against the, what is it called? The Tornadus T, but I'm expecting just a flip turn here. Question is do I want aggressive about this flip turn, or do I just want to sack this Pokemon off? At this point, I do have to kind of make some headway in this game, and actually, you know, start killing Pokemon at some point. If I go into Torn, then... Well, if I go into Torn, he flip turns into Rotom Heat. Then Rotom Heat, I just go back into Diancie. Yeah, I think I'm fine to do this one more time. I really want to bait out the potential rest here. If Tiro has it. Yeah, flip turn, that's fine. Okay, fuck, that does so much. That is now in range of basically any attack, though, from my Dracozolt. So the Dracozolt win condition is slowly opening up here into the late game. With Tangrowth not being a regenerator set, that's going to be a problem for it. We take some toxic damage here, that's okay. And we just continue to kind of put Tiro's team through the paces here. Only question here is whether I allow the Swampert to come back in for free on this, or do I set the sand back up? I'm gonna go Diancie here because I don't want him trying to get aggressive and predicting with Pain Split. I'd rather him bring in Swampert again. I'd rather Swampert come in here on a Volt Switch, force it to take Stealth Rocks and Toxic, and then I let him kill this. Because then he has, it's his choice then what to bring in as his Pokemon, what to bring in as a lead, and then I have basically all my Pokemon check his entire team. So, and now this Swampert's basically dead, which also really opens up the Kartana, because now I'm not forced into Grass Move, and the Grass Move was particularly bad against most of his team. So now I get to like freely click knockoff a lot of the time here. Okay, I'm just going to click Moonblast to prevent any shenanigans here. And now allow the flip turn. The flip turn comes out, that's perfectly fine, as expected. And now we lose Diancie, unfortunately. But that's the cost of doing business with this team. I think Diancie got a lot of value this game. It basically traded for Swampert, essentially. If you kind of think about it in that way. So that's a little bit more than would have expected. And it forced the Rotom Heat to get into a range where I can't really deal with a lot of what I have going on. In comes this now. Now, I mean, this is kind of a problem to deal with, but I can come into this and I can come into this U-turn and go into this. I mean, this is kind of the problem I have, but where I am going to be faster, I do have Stone Edge here and Expert Belt that should be able to kill. I don't have the Sand Up, which is a little brutal, but I don't think that this is a risk that the T-Row is going to be willing to take here. I think he's just going to have to switch out. Yeah, and he is going to like to switch out here. And in comes the Swampert. Okay, perfect. So it looks like Draconzolt's going to pick up the kill on Swampert here. Alright, we didn't miss. Thank fucking God. No, it's not gonna kill. Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm pretty sure that this is not like a situation where this can like realistically outspeed me. What's Swampert space speed again? Oh, 60. Yeah, there's no way. There's just no way. So we can fight here. Fuck. There's not really good. I can flamethrower. I kind of just have to Draco this. I'm switching out regard. Fuck. If this misses, I'm gonna be so mad. I have to kill this. Thank God. Thank fucking God, man. I don't care what comes in after this now. Now that this is gone, the Torn T has a little bit of an easier job. And now that he knows that I'm mixed, kind of difficult for him to really play around this effectively. Like, what are you bringing here? Probably Salamence? Salamence probably comes in here. Salamence was defensive last time in this matchup. He had, like, Hydro Pump and Wish. One thing, though, that, like, I always keep in mind in these situations is never to play around what your opponent brought in the previous game. You just pretend that the match never happened. I feel like if you try to level yourself in these games, you probably end up losing more often than not, just for no reason. Urshifu comes in, okay. So it takes damage here. That's kind of perfect. We just get to bring in the Hippowdon here. We get to set up Sand. It has to take the Rocky Helmet damage. And we get to kind of see if this is Choice Scarf or not. Kind of evaluate some damage here. Set up the Sand. I'm expecting a U-turn here probably. We're just going to bulk up. That's fine. If he's bulk up, that means that this is checked by the, what is it called? The Tornadus really effectively. I'm expecting an attack here. Honestly, I'm kind of expecting an attack. So I'm just going to Toxic here. Just to put this thing on a timer as well. If he elects to just go into Tangrowth Raw, then that's fine as well. But those are kind of the two situations I'm predicting here. Either he just like Wicked Blows me, I get a Toxic off, and then I have to switch this out to preserve this for a Sand Setter. Or he goes hard into, say, Tangrowth, as that's kind of a safe play. He doesn't... He kind of, you know, I think he's expecting me to Whirlwind here. And maybe I should have had Whirlwind in this spot. But I should... I might not live this, honestly. Or I might not live post-burn. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna get there post-burn. I'm only gonna have one more turn to set up Sand, though. I'm only gonna be able to come in once more, so we're gonna have to pick a sack here. But this is basically neutered now. Alright, we can come in one more time on Sand. So now we have to pick a sack here. What's the best sack here? So Cinderace is pretty good still. All these Pokemon are kind of good still. I can sack Cinderace, come into the Torn, U-turn off, and then come into Dracozolt, and then start putting pressure on that way. I'm just going to sack the... I think sacking Cinderace makes the most sense here. It's the one that does kind of the least amount of damage to everything. The Kartana, the Dracozolt, and the Torn all deal damage to multiple different threats. Drain Punch, that's okay. Yeah, that was, the nuke was expected there, but unfortunately he's still kind of on this timer here that, you know, which is, you know, there's not much he can really do to prevent this timer from taking him out. And now even if he elects to go into, and we're gonna go in here, we're gonna click Hurricane, because if he elects to go into the Rotom Heat, then he's still actually taking a good amount of damage as a result of this. So we're just gonna Hurricane, force T-Row to make that switch. I could Sludge Wave as well, But he's gonna elect a Sucker Punch. Fuck, that actually killed. Yeah, I guess I should have maybe predicted that to have been the scenario. Yeah, that might have been a choke on my part there, unfortunately. Okay, well, that was a mistake. Should have expected that. We're gonna have to eat another Sucker Punch here, which is fine. I could just Bolt Beak here. Bolt Beak is, you know, almost not an assured kill, but Draco Meteor. I'm just gonna Draco. Hope it hits. This matchup was particularly difficult to prepare for, as a lot of my opponent's threats are too powerful against my team. Yeah, as you can see here, this Urshifu is just fucking crazy. There's really just not much that we can do. And unfortunately, T-Row looks like he's going to pick up the win here. As, you know, he can Drain Punch. Yeah, I basically have to win with Kartana, which is not going to happen. So, unfortunately, we're going to lose the rematch again to T-Row, but I'm trying to think of like how. Oh, I actually get a turn with this. That's actually pretty funny. So I mean, I could hack the rest of this game somehow, but that's never gonna happen. So I'm trying to think of how I could have played that game differently. Probably could have played a little differently, but I think at the end that the Urshifu was such a problem for my team to manage, and maybe I could have gotten a prediction to our right earlier in the game, but it's kind of the problem that this team ran into, is that there's not much that you can do to beat an Urshifu set, especially one like this that, you know, is going to be able to take advantage of Hippowdon, especially where I don't have, you know, I could have ran Slowbro as a way to, you know, reliably answer the, what is it called? Maybe I should have just stayed in with Hippowdon and used the Rocky Helmet more. That might have been, you know, a more logical play, but alas, you know, it is what it is. We lose here to T-Row. I think he played a really good game here. As once again, this is Heavy Duty Boots defensive Salamence, so a loss, but, you know, a loss that I think that, you know, we can take and be content with the result of the season. This is kind of the matchup I wanted to avoid the most in playoffs, honestly. So it's kind of funny that we ended up playing it in round one, but you know, that's just a good game. Not much we can really say about that one. So, well, that's going to be in the battle, and I'll talk to you guys in the intro. We'll do a little bit of a longer intro this time. And there it is. That's the end. Not really much commentary to give, honestly. The game went, I mean, about as good as I could have predicted. I think the whirlwind on Hippowdon would have made the Urshifu much more manageable, and I think that's a mistake made that, you know, in the end probably cost me that result at the end of the day. Unfortunate, that's how it has to end, but, you know, it is what it is. I think overall, as I said in the previous video, I think it was a successful season. I think I played well in the regular season for most of it, but I don't know. I think, you know, mistakes were made in this matchup specifically, and maybe I could have done more to protect against, you know, the Urshifu, which ended up being the primary threat, which I unfortunately couldn't really handle. So, it is what it is. That's the end of the NCP season. I got videos out almost every week on time. 2 of them came out on Saturday, but, you know, that is what it is. It's going to happen with life. And overall, I think it was a successful run. I don't know if I'm going to do Draft League again for quite a while on the channel. No, not that it wasn't a successful series, and I mean, it really wasn't in terms of the YouTube sense, but that's not really the determining factor for that. I think I just don't enjoy this generation at all, and while I'm playing some older generation stuff, the level of time and detail I'm putting into that is not to the level I would want to put something on YouTube for, and even this NCP I didn't put the level of detail after I wanted to the whole way through, so that's kind of my perspective on that. When the new generation comes out, if the NCP have me back again and they, you know, do more seasons in the future, would gladly rejoin. But for now, unless the new generation is super exciting and mind-blowing, I think we had our fun back in the sun doing YouTube for Pokemon Draft League, but I think it's time to put the focus onto Magic and then start qualifying for the Pro Tour. So that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the series. hope you stick around for some magic, and yeah, peace out.